Hi, this is Teresa LaFleur, your instructor for OST 141, Medical Terminology 1. We're going to talk a few minutes about Chapter 1 and understanding how medical terminology is set up and how it works. First thing you need to know is there are several elements to medical terminology, and it is like learning a foreign language. You have prefixes, the root, combining vowel, combining forms, and suffix. Now, as you're looking at this, what you can tell is prefix is just like with any other word. It goes at the beginning of some of the words. Suffix is the same for general words too. It goes at the end. The root is the foundation, the part of the word that everything is based upon. And that's what you will need to pay really close attention to. Combining vowel is a vowel, usually an O, sometimes an A or an I. And this is what helps the word make sense and easier to pronounce. Without those, it can be a bit difficult. The combining form is just a combination of the root and the combining vowels. So, for instance, here in Chapter 1, what you need to put on your cards, your flashcards, your flip cards, whatever you want to call them, is, like for example here, gynec means female, so you'll have gynec on the front of your card, female on the back. Dermat means skin, arthro means joint, respir means breathe. Now notice the E on the end of this, that's breathe. Without the E, it's breath, and that would be wrong. Just for your information also, when you are studying these, make sure you study the spellings, because spelling does count. So even though you may have the correct definition, if you spell it wrong on the test, it is wrong. That could be a tremendous problem in medical terminology, because if you spell it wrong, you could be talking about a different body part. So when you're looking at these words, if you see it underlined, you can hover over it here in your book and it'll tell you what it means. So this one is dermatitis. Itis means inflammation. Dermat means skin. So notice when you're reading medical terms, you read from the right to the left, not the left to the right. So this would be inflammation of the skin. If you go down here to gastroenterology, ology means study of. Enter is your intestines. Gastro is the stomach. So this would be the study of the intestines and stomach. This section here will give you more of the terms to put on your card. So we already talked about gynec and respir, gastro and all. Cardi means heart. Logi means study of. Logist is one who studies. Tori is relating to. You're going to find there's a lot of words that mean relating to or pertaining to. So this is how you would pick up the words to put on your cards in these first few chapters. The next part of this chapter just sort of shows you that a lot of the root forms of medical terminology comes from Greek, Latin, and Old English, and kind of gives you some examples here and what they mean. So let's go to the next section. And then it talks about terms that are alike, and this is what I talked about when spelling counts so much. If you see here, ilium, I-L-I-U-M, is in the pelvis, but ileum, I-L-E-U-M, is part of the small intestine. So if you misspell this when you're working in it, then something could happen to the patient, and they might have surgery on the wrong body part. This is why it is so important to spell correctly and make sure that you're looking at the correct terms. These little exercises here are pretty handy, and if you would like to try them, just let me know and I'll check them for you. Let's go to the next section. And then there's a little review here about whether or not things are correct. So, for example, a term never has more than one root. That's false. It can have more than one root easily. Gastroenterology is one of the terms that we use that has multiple roots in it. And some terms will have no combining vowel. That's true. The combining vowel is only there if it's needed to make the word easier to pronounce. If one of the terms ends in a vowel, then you don't have a double vowel. So try to take a look at these, read through this chapter very well. I sent you a list of some of the words and terms that we're going to use in this chapter. And here's a good little review for you also. And we'll go over those in class if you're in my CV class. If you're not, you can use that to set up your flip cards and start quizzing yourself for that first word parts test. If you have any questions, please give me a call or an email.